The US just shut down the Arizona border after discovering something terrifying underground. And trust me, you're not ready for what they found. An actual tunnel, half a mile long, 50 feet deep, with working lights, air vents, steel walls, and tracks for smuggling cargo across the border like a secret subway. In this video, we're diving into what the government found, who built it, and how this might be the start of something way bigger than anyone imagined. In late June 2025, something shocking happened at the Arizona-Mexico border. Without any warning, U.S. authorities shut down a large stretch of the border near Yuma. Now, this wasn't some small policy move. It was a full-blown emergency closure. No vehicles in or out. Border crossing suspended. Why? Because underground, something terrifying had been found. This information came directly from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and local officials. According to their official statement, a massive underground tunnel was discovered running between Mexico and the United States. And this wasn't just a small hole or a makeshift cave. It was something so well designed, it even shocked seasoned Border Patrol agents who've seen it all. Think about it. For years, authorities have been on high alert about illegal crossings, drug smuggling, and trafficking. But this tunnel wasn't just another smuggler's path. It was something else entirely, something too advanced to ignore. As soon as the tunnel was discovered, emergency shutdown protocols were activated. The government immediately closed off a significant section of the border, both at formal crossing points and remote desert stretches. Local authorities, especially in towns near Yuma, were notified. Extra patrols were called in. Highway signs lit up with detour warnings. Even air surveillance around the area increased overnight. Now, you might be wondering, how did they even find this tunnel? Well, it wasn't pure luck. The discovery was the result of advanced drone surveillance and thermal imaging tech being used along the Arizona-Sonora border. Recently, the U.S. Border Patrol had increased aerial monitoring in this area because of rising suspicions about cartel activity. Drones flying above the Yuma, San Luis Rio Colorado region picked up some strange signs. The soil in one area was giving off unusual heat patterns, known as thermal anomalies. That's the first red flag. Then, using infrared scanners, the drones noticed a long, straight line of disruption beneath the Earth's surface. It looked like something was running underground. This was enough for CBP to act. A specialized ground team was sent to the location. Using ground-penetrating radar and basic excavation tools, they started digging. What they found was far beyond anyone's expectations. Just beneath the surface, a full-scale tunnel had been carefully carved out. It wasn't random or rough. It was clean, structured, and shockingly organized. There were clear signs that excavation equipment had been used. The walls were reinforced, not with wood or plastic, but with solid material. Some reports even mentioned concrete and steel supports. This wasn't a one-time escape tunnel or a narrow path for one person to crawl through. This was a planned route designed for heavy use, most likely for smuggling drugs, people, and who knows what else. Officials believe that this tunnel was still under construction, which means if they had waited even a few weeks longer, the entire system might have gone live. Once agents dug deeper and entered the tunnel, they realized just how serious this was. This wasn't your average hole in the ground. The tunnel stretched an estimated 2,900 feet. That's over half a mile. It ran right underneath the US-Mexico border, and at its deepest point was about 50 feet below the surface. But the shocking part? The tunnel was wide enough for people to walk through standing upright. And it included metal trolley-style tracks on the floor. This means that not only could people use it, but so could small vehicles or carts to transport goods, like drugs, weapons, or even humans. Inside the tunnel, there were working lights, electrical wires, and ventilation shafts. These are not things you find in a quick escape route. These are the kind of features you see in subway tunnels. This was clearly a long-term investment, something built with planning, money, and engineering skills. Several witnesses, some construction experts who were consulted by CBP, said the tunnel looked like it was professionally built. The walls were reinforced with steel plates. There were no signs of collapse or rushed digging. Even the air inside was fresh, thanks to ventilation systems. News outlets like Fox 10 Phoenix, AOL, and the New York Post published images of the tunnel. The media coverage stunned the public. People couldn't believe that something this complex existed just beneath the desert floor, and yet it did. Authorities now believe that this tunnel was likely created by one of the top Mexican drug cartels, using laborers and engineers with underground mining expertise. Some even speculate that workers may have used stolen blueprints from real mining companies. As soon as the full scale of the tunnel was confirmed, the U.S. Border Patrol didn't wait. They activated an immediate shutdown protocol across the entire Yuma border sector. This protocol is rarely used. It's reserved for serious situations like high-level smuggling or national security threats. And this time, it wasn't just about blocking one entry point. Authorities closed down multiple miles of the U.S.-Mexico border. First, all official ports. Next, CBP sealed off unmonitored desert corridors using temporary fences, surveillance drones, and mobile patrol teams. Officers with canine units were brought in to scan for any other suspicious activity. Then, the government called in local sheriffs and highway patrol officers. Their job? Evacuate nearby areas, redirect traffic, and keep residents calm. According to some reports, nearby ranches and tribal lands were also informed of potential risks underground. Local news stations began broadcasting warnings. People were told to stay away from the sealed area and report any unusual activity, like sounds of digging or shifting ground. The response was fast and aggressive because officials didn't want to take any chances. One tunnel of this size could mean there are others nearby, or worse, it could mean the tunnel was already being used to move dangerous cargo into the U.S. After the shocking discovery of the underground tunnel near the Arizona border, the U.S. government didn't waste any time. A multi-agency operation was launched almost instantly. This wasn't just a job for the Border Patrol alone. The situation was too big. Agencies like CBP, Customs and Border Protection, ICE, HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Tucson Sector Border Patrol all joined forces. Even the Mexican Federal Police were involved in securing the tunnel from the other side of the border. Why so many agencies? Because shutting down a tunnel of this scale involves more than just closing the hole. It's about coordination, intelligence sharing, and making sure no one escapes from either end. Once the tunnel was secured and mapped, CBP made a clear decision. They would fill the entire tunnel with concrete. Why? To make sure no one could ever use it again. This may sound extreme, but it's not new. A similar strategy was used in Nogales in previous years, where several cartel tunnels were sealed off this way. It's expensive and takes time, but it works. Concrete pouring is not as simple as it sounds. Engineers must first inspect the tunnel to make sure it's stable, then calculate how much material is needed. The goal is to make the tunnel completely unusable, even for future repairs by the cartels. Meanwhile, agents kept the media and locals away from the scene. Safety was a big concern. Tunnels like these can collapse if not handled properly. Workers had to wear protective gear, and drones monitored air movement in the shaft to check for toxic gases or sudden shifts. Now let's talk about how the border shutdown actually happened on the ground. As soon as officials confirmed the tunnel's size and threat level, they enforced a 5-mile border closure. That's a huge stretch of land. Both official ports of entry and remote desert paths were sealed off. This meant that no one, absolutely no one, was allowed to cross that part of the border, not even for emergencies. All traffic, including commercial vehicles, was either delayed or rerouted. Goods that usually crossed from Mexico into Arizona had to take longer routes through Texas or California. Once the tunnel was discovered and the border shut down, the public naturally had questions. They said the government urgently needed more technology to detect underground activity. This included tools like mobile ground-penetrating radar units that could scan beneath the surface in real time. As expected, this caught the attention of Congress, and for once, politicians from both parties agreed. This was serious. During a closed-door session, lawmakers were briefed on the tunnel's layout, design, and possible future threats. Several senators and representatives called for immediate action to fix gaps in the border security system. Some even criticized the fact that it took a drone to spot something that should have been caught months earlier. There were also talks of launching a full-scale investigation. not just into this tunnel, but into the entire border security process. How many tunnels are being built right now? Are there inside informants? Is our tech up to date? Some lawmakers introduced emergency bills that would allow CBP to buy better scanners, hire more ground analysts, and deploy smarter surveillance software. You might be thinking, has this ever happened before? Yes, in fact, there have been similar tunnels discovered in places like Nogales, Arizona, and San Diego, California over the last few years. But none were as large and sophisticated as the one recently found near Yuma. Let's look at Nogales, a city right on the Arizona-Mexico border. In both early 2025 and late 2024, authorities found 2 tunnels that were being used to smuggle drugs. These weren't small operations. Each time, officials seized hundreds of pounds of narcotics, mostly cocaine and fentanyl. The tunnels were small, about 1,000 to 1,500 feet long, and had basic lighting. But they lacked what the new Yuma tunnel had: rail systems, ventilation, and steel-reinforced walls. This latest tunnel feels more like an underground highway than a smuggler's shortcut. In San Diego, the situation was similar. Over the years, several tunnels were discovered connecting warehouses in the US to buildings in Tijuana. Some of them even had elevators and drainage systems. These tunnels were clearly made by experts, not just criminals with shovels. So yes, this is not the first time authorities have faced this challenge. But what sets the Arizona tunnel apart is its ability to cross large distances secretly, with infrastructure that seems to get more complex each time. Another scary fact? Some of these older tunnels were left unfinished on purpose just to confuse law enforcement. Cartels sometimes dig fake tunnels to distract border agents, while the real ones remain hidden a few miles away. Let's look at the bigger picture. For years, most drug tunnels were found in the Tijuana-San Diego corridor. It's been a hotspot for smuggling because of the dense city infrastructure on both sides. But now, intelligence experts say the pattern is changing. According to recent data, there's a noticeable shift in tunnel activity, away from Tijuana and more toward the Arizona-Sonora corridor. And the numbers are alarming. In just the last 6 months, at least 3 tunnels have been uncovered near Yuma alone. That's more than some years saw in total. So what's causing this shift? The answer lies in 2 main reasons: geography and surveillance. San Diego has tighter monitoring, better tech, and heavier border fencing. On the other hand, Arizona's terrain is softer, more remote, and less populated. This makes it easier to dig and hide. Also, surveillance in Arizona has historically focused more on above-ground movement, like migrants or vehicles, not deep underground threats. Cartels know this. They're adapting and moving operations to places where U.S. attention is weaker. Experts are calling this a dangerous trend. These are not one-off tunnels anymore. They're part of a systematic strategy by smuggling networks. Cartels are no longer digging random holes. They're planning long-term routes across deserts, beneath border fences, and even near civilian zones. And what's worse? Each new tunnel is more advanced than the last. Better materials, longer distances, even power and ventilation systems. In encrypted online chats, one message reportedly read, "Close the surface windows, dig deeper." That phrase has now become a red flag in intelligence briefings. Surface windows likely refers to the shallow tunnel paths that are visible to heat and radar scans. And dig deeper? That's obvious. It means moving operations further underground, beyond where current US surveillance tools can detect. Another intercepted message talked about accelerating construction before detection tools improve further. Informants claim that some cartel leaders are giving strict 30-day deadlines to dig teams, meaning they want the tunnel ready before CBP drones catch it. One cartel was even seen recruiting former mining engineers, paying high salaries for people who know how to dig without causing vibrations or soil collapse. This is no longer smuggling. It's underground engineering. And the chatter isn't limited to digging. There are talks of using decoy tunnels, booby traps, and fake entrances to confuse US agents. Some informants also mentioned testing jamming devices that block drone signals for a few minutes, enough time to transport a shipment. We might lose control of what's happening beneath our feet. If you found this video interesting, make sure to give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe.